Hello, welcome to this update. Let's see the tropics, specifically in the Atlantic, and then we'll check some more stuff. So let's see first here the Atlantic. So we have tropical depression 4 there. Let's see. Let's show you the new track. They put already some hurricane watches for the coast of northwestern Florida, like the Big Bend area, and tropical storm warnings throughout much of the west coast, and tropical storm watches there in the Keys. So this is expected to become tropical storm Debbie, like in the middle of the Gulf there. And let's see what else. The key messages. Let's see. Heavy rainfall will likely result in locally considerable flash flooding and urban flooding across portions of Florida and the coastal areas of the southeast this weekend through Thursday morning. River flooding is also expected. Hurricane conditions possible late Sunday in portions of Florida, Gulf Coast, and Big Bend region, where hurricane watch is in effect. Tropical storm conditions are expected along Florida's west coast, including Tampa area, and dry Tortugas, where tropical storm warnings are in effect. There is a danger of life-threatening storm surge and inundation along portions of the west coast of Florida from Archipelago to Alsila River. Life-threatening storm surge is possible on the west of Alsila River, Indian Pass, south of Archipelago Beach, including Tampa Bay and Charlotte Harbor. Impacts from storm surge, strong winds, and heavy rain are possible elsewhere in Florida along the southeast coast of the United States, from Georgia to North Carolina through the middle of next week. Interest in those areas should continue to monitor the progress of the system. Additional watches and warnings are likely required later today. So they likely might put some watches for Georgia and the Carolinas and some more areas today. So let's see. And here are the key messages in Spanish. If you don't understand English, pause the video to read this or visit this site here. So let's see. They increased the storm surge yesterday night, so now it's up to 5 feet. So they have 2 to 4 feet in parts of Charlotte Harbor, Tampa Bay, and the areas between that. In the Big Bend, 2 to 4 feet, and 3 to 5 feet in parts of the Big Bend there. So especially those areas there, Indian Pass, 2 to 4 feet. Let's see. And in the southwesternmost part of Florida, 1 to 3 feet, and dry Tortugas, 1 to 2 feet of storm surge. So please be careful with the storm surge there. Let's see. The rainfall potential has increased a little bit, so there are some small areas of 8 to 12 inches in the dark orange, especially around Clearwater and St. Petersburg. In some areas there, some 8 to 12 inches is possible. And for the rest of Florida, like those greens are like 2 to 4 inches in the rest of South Florida. The yellow 4 to 6 inches, and 6 to 8 inches in the light orange for much of the west coast. So, but it has increased a lot for South Carolina. There's a bunch of dark orange now, that's 8 to 12 inches. And there's even some red, but luckily the red is over the ocean there. That will be 12 to 16 inches. So, but through much of South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, more than 4 inches is expected in the yellow, orange, and dark orange, 4 to 8 inches. So be careful there. Let's see, northern Florida, some 6 to 8 inches too, and locally some more. So be careful there. And they have the storm surge warnings and watches. So storm surge warnings array for the Big Bend. They have storm surge warnings and storm surge watches throughout Tampa Bay, some other areas at Charlotte Harbor, and some other areas there. So storm surge watches, the warnings there, and even some more storm surge watches further north in the Panhandle. So let's see. I showed you in the severe weather video today the flash flooding outlook. So it's a moderate risk for day 3. So today and tomorrow is a slight, but day 3 is a moderate risk from Florida to South Carolina. So very dangerous flash flooding can be expected. Be careful, please. Let's see. So wind speed, tropical storm force wind speed probabilities, mainly over water, but in the coast area I have some like 4 each 50% probabilities there on the coast, and this might increase later. And the 50 knot wind speed probabilities only a slight, like 5 to 10%. And hurricane force winds, nothing yet. So let's see. What else? So the arrival time of the winds might be in the Keys about today, tonight, a little bit earlier than 8 p.m. By the west coast of Florida, about Sunday 2 a.m., Sunday 8 a.m. by Tampa, and by the Big Bend when it makes landfall around Sunday afternoon into Sunday night. So let's see. So be careful there. Let's see. What else? This is a potential storm surge map. It shows all the areas there. The yellow, like 3 feet above the ground. The yellows, 1 foot above the ground in the blue. Shows some areas of yellow possible in the Tampa Bay. Let's see further north. And the orange, like greater than 6 feet above the ground. There are some small indications in parts of the Big Bend that an area or two might get 6 feet of storm surge in some areas there. So if you zoom in, you can really see some blues 1 feet, the yellows 3 feet, and even some oranges, some 6 feet storm surge possible. Further north there, into the Panhandle, still some 3 to 6 feet possible. It shows in some isolated areas and scattered areas, and along some rivers too. So far in the Panhandle, some 1 to 3 feet possible. Let's see. There nothing, but yeah, it's mainly even some areas there. These islands show 1 to 3 feet possible, and yeah, you can really have an idea here. So let's see. What else? Here. So, and for now, we still don't have any other areas in the Atlantic, but that might change this coming week. So I'll talk about that after we finish with Tropical Depression 4. So here's the current satellite. It's over Cuba, affecting the Cayman Islands too, but more storms in Cuba there. Some storms are in the Keys and in Florida. The path, let's see. Most models take this right through the Big Bend and curve north there, and even the low pressure center there. Some models try to go towards Louisiana, but no, those are like outliers. But it mainly goes through the Panhandle, like through the Big Bend, and then curves north into Georgia and the Carolinas. And even some other models here take it a little bit further north into the Panhandle and go north there. The intensity guidance, it's a tropical depression, and all models have this getting to tropical storm strength. So they all have this getting to tropical storm strength, and 2 models have this to hurricane strength, but only 2 models. Most have tropical storm strength there. So let's see. So this is the latest GFS. It shows it approaching there as a moderate to strong tropical storm, and I think this is a little too strong maybe, but you never know. They have some hurricane watches, so this might turn quickly into a hurricane. Then it passes over southern Georgia and kind of lingers in Georgia, South Carolina, and then moves north. Affects North Carolina and Virginia too, moves north. Let's see what else here. So nothing else as of now from the GFS, just a crazy system by August 18th, kind of entering the Gulf into Mexico there, but that's very far out. So let's see the European. It has very weak still, the storm there. It kind of makes it to tropical storm strength, but it's very weak. So I think we might be a little bit stronger than this. It goes into Georgia, South Carolina, and let's see. So it's there. It kind of lingers in that area, dumps even more rain, goes to North Carolina, Virginia, and then leaves. Let's see if it has something else later. Nothing else for now, but some ensembles are hinting at more things. I'll show you soon. The Canadian has the storm there. It goes as a tropical storm there. Further north, like the Big Bend, it's way more into the Panhandle, into Georgia. It goes into South Carolina, lingers there, affects North Carolina and Virginia, and goes out. So if it makes landfall on Sunday, then it might pass through Georgia by Monday, Tuesday, South Carolina there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then it goes. So let's see the hurricane models. This is the H-Wharf. It's just leaving Cuba now, the low pressure, and then it keeps going. The H-Wharf has this taking a little bit to strengthen, but eventually get into tropical storm, and then it's strengthening more, and then it keeps going, potentially hurricane strength. So 9A millibars at landfall would be like almost, if not hurricane strength, like category 1. So the H-Wharf has this, potentially a hurricane there. It has, let's see here, what else? There's this other hurricane model. It has the low pressure there. It keeps going, strengthens into a tropical storm, and then he eventually goes as a moderate tropical storm into the Florida Panhandle there. It passes through Georgia, lingers in South Carolina and Georgia, and then this model doesn't go far out. Let's see. The HFC has it, let's see, has it leaving Cuba there, and then going north, strengthening like into a tropical storm, but nothing crazy, just a regular tropical storm. Then it makes landfall there and goes over Georgia. Let's see. The HFB has it leaving Florida there, strengthening more, but going just as a tropical storm there towards Florida and then into Georgia. So the strongest model by far is the H-Wharf and the GFS. So let's see what else. So this is the European ensembles. They basically have this all going in that same general direction there. Let's put this further out. So they have this going there. So even a crazy ensemble or two curves back towards Alabama, Mississippi, but all go to the Florida Big Bend and curve north into the Atlantic. And some of these ensembles have potential like high-end tropical storm or hurricane strength there in the Atlantic. Like 1 or 2 ensembles have this like hurricane strength there in the Atlantic. So let's see the GFS ensembles. It also has them generally going there towards Florida, the Big Bend, and then curving north into the Atlantic, and some get to hurricane strength out in the Atlantic there, and some pass very close to the East Coast there. But there are some ensembles that try to curve this back into the Gulf, so that would be concerning, but still no signs of that. Just one member or two is curving this back into the Gulf. So let's see Now, something else. So this is the tropical storm probabilities here. As it goes through Florida, tropical storm, and passes through the east coast, even stronger. The week later it has dissipated, only some remnants there, and more stuff later. But let's see here the tropical cyclone forecast. So it's 100% there, of course, because it's already a tropical cyclone, but it's 100% in the Florida coast there, and then it keeps going, still 100% by August 7th, by August 8th, some 80 to 90% chance there, cyclone genesis, keeps going. Let's see, and as it goes up the east coast, the probabilities keep going there. So, but even some probabilities come out in the Gulf by August 12th there. So let's see what else. So I showed you an estimation of the rainfall before, but let's see some models. So the European has all through the Florida west coast, more than 100 millimeters for most of the west coast there. So Cape Coral 150 millimeters, Northport 140 millimeters, Sarasota 170, Bradenton and Tampa has more than 170 millimeters in the Tampa Bay. Let's see, it keeps going, more rain further north, more than 100 millimeters. And when did this makes landfall there, more than 200 millimeters, 100 millimeters, even more than 200 in many areas near Cedar Key and Hermosa Springs when this makes landfall. Then it keeps going, still 200, 100 millimeters there. For much of northern Florida, Jacksonville about 160 millimeters possible, and then this is the European as it goes through Georgia, more than 200 millimeters through eastern Georgia, and near the coast there in Georgia, it has more than 400 millimeters, almost 400 millimeters in the coast of Georgia there. South Carolina has 300 millimeters and something, and then 300, all 300 millimeters through eastern South Carolina there. So it's showing a very dangerous situation, more than 200 millimeters. Central South Carolina, a little bit less, around some 58 millimeters. But eastern South Carolina and the coast there, more than 100, 200 millimeters. So please be careful. And then for North Carolina, 100 millimeters. But as this keeps going the next 10 days, he shows more than 200 millimeters for North Carolina between the next 5 and 10 days as this passes. And for Virginia too, most of Virginia above 100 millimeters, even 200. Only some areas there might get less, like in westernmost Virginia and some areas there, but in those coastal areas near Maryland, shows more than 300 millimeters in the next 10 days through parts of Delaware and New Jersey, more than 100 millimeters. Also later in parts of the Northeast, and let's see, as this curves into Atlantic Canada, might bring more to Nova Scotia and everything. So let's see the GFS in the next 5 days. So this is the GFS. It has a little bit less than the Euro for the west coast of Florida. He has less than 100, but the European had more than 100. But further north, where this makes landfall, he has more than 100 and 200 millimeters where this makes landfall there, and then 100, 160, 200 millimeters near Georgia there. Let's see, Jacksonville 131 millimeters, most of southern Georgia more than 100 millimeters for most of eastern Georgia there. So right near the coast there is more than 300 millimeters in Savannah, Georgia, more than 300 millimeters the next 5 days. Going to South Carolina, more than 300 millimeters still. For most of eastern South Carolina, just the west is safe, but most of eastern South Carolina, more than 200 millimeters. Let's see. So I showed and I don't know why I'm saying this in millimeters since you use inches there, so I'll just change this. I completely forgot. So let's see. It shows more than 9-10 inches in the next 5 days. For most of South Carolina, even 12 inches, some 12 inches in Georgia, and then for North Carolina, the west is safe, but the east, especially southeast North Carolina, shows more than 6 inches already in the next 5 days. The next 10 days, as this keeps going, it shows more than 6 inches for eastern North Carolina. Virginia has way less than the European, but it has more as this curves northeast layer, passing through Pennsylvania more than 7 inches, Connecticut 10 inches, New York 8-9 inches, Massachusetts 9 inches, New Hampshire 9 inches. So in the next 10 days, as this curves out, and some other storm systems might contribute to this amount too, but it will be mainly this one. Nova Scotia has a passing through Atlantic Canada, more than 8 inches in Nova Scotia. So yeah, be aware. Let's see. The icon in the next 5 days has mainly right in the immediate coast of western Florida, more than 3-4 inches there, especially through Bradenton. Let's see, St. Petersburg some 8 inches, Clearwater some 7-8 inches, but in Cedar Key and near where this makes landfall shows more than 9 inches, some 8-9 inches there. Let's see, some 6 inches in southern Georgia, and eastern Georgia there shows almost 9 inches, but it has more like affecting more South Carolina. The icon, he has more than 15 inches in South Carolina just in the next 5 days. In eastern South Carolina, North Carolina has more than 10 inches, 11 inches, 9 inches, 6 inches there. So yeah, and more rain as it passes near the northeast together with some other storm systems. So, and then let's see here, just in the European again, so I can show you something. So for other parts of Florida, like Orlando, some areas, some 3 inches it shows in Orlando. Miami, it shows around 2 to 3 inches. Some other areas with more, some areas with less. The Florida Keys, a lot of rain too, more than 4 inches as this passes by. Let's see. And yeah, this is mainly it, some 10 inches there. So be careful in those areas, the heavy rains, storm surge, strong winds and everything. And let's see. So this is the European, it has it weaker at landfall, so these winds will be probably higher. But let's see what else here. So it has some 53 miles per hour gusts in some areas there. I think this is gusts. Oh, yes, it has some gusty winds throughout all the areas of Florida, but I think this will be stronger. Let's see the GFS. The GFS has this making landfall there, more than 57 mile per hour gusts there. So they're not showing this too strong, like only 50 miles per hour, 60 miles per hour there when this makes landfall. But let's see what else. So let's see if there's any wind speed forecast. So shows sustained winds of 110 kilometers per hour when this makes landfall there. So let's see what else. So this will be, let's see, this will be some 68 miles per hour sustained winds at landfall, so like just tropical storm. So 68 miles per hour sustained winds. The gusts might range some more than 70 miles per hour in some areas there. So, but we'll know more as this gets closer. So let's see here. some other things for the Atlantic, and then some other things. So stay safe from that system there. The storms in Cuba, maybe the Bahamas and some other areas too. And let's now see some ensembles from the European again, because after the system it will show some other small probabilities there in the main development region of mainly another system or two. So only one member is showing that, but you never know. But what is more concerning are these members here in the Caribbean. So lots of members are going towards Central America. So this is by August 11th. And there's these two members that turn this into a tropical storm, the next system coming off of Africa. And then both of these two members turn this into a hurricane crossing the Bahamas and Cuba there. So this is just two members showing this, and there's 50 members in total, so it's a very low probability that this happens, but we already getting more indications that this next wave might try to turn it into something there. So some members try to go towards the Gulf too, and then the GFS, he has some members there, but the GFS also has like tropical storm, low-end hurricane strength in the southern Caribbean for this next wave coming. And one member even goes north into Cuba there. Most members go into Central America. So the GFS showing a little bit more support than the European. But we gotta keep an eye on this, because some runs from the European from yesterday showed this next season like coming up here and strengthening a lot as it came there, but only some ensembles, no operational models have showed that. But let's see further out to 240 hours. So by 240 hours, that crazy member keeps this as a major hurricane going to the Atlantic there, but it's only one member showing this. So or ignore what I'm saying, or take this as a grain of salt, because it's a very low probability that happens. There's another member curving back through Cuba into the Gulf, and all those members from the Caribbean are showing like tropical depression, tropical storm probabilities in the Caribbean there by August 13th. So maybe we have to watch the Gulf later by August 13th and something. And even after this next wave there might be other waves coming. There are one or two members showing like potential systems coming later from the other waves back behind there near the Caribbean. Some other ones there in the main development region. So we gotta keep watching this. Let's see the GFS 240 hours. It has one member or two in the main development region, another one crossing the Caribbean by August 13th, and then more into the southern Gulf, and some even go into the northern Gulf in the Atlantic. So this is very far out. Take this as a grain of salt, but just to let you know that it will still be active after Debbie goes away. So let's see. These tropical cyclone probabilities. By August 13th, we got those 10 to 20% probabilities in the Gulf there of a tropical cyclone. So alright, some low probabilities there. And then later, by August 15th, we start getting some minor probabilities in the northeastern Caribbean there. So let's see here. So this is mainly it for the Atlantic. Let's just show you some satellite. So Atlantic wide. So it's mainly these waves that we are watching that came off of Africa. And there's this wave getting closer to the Caribbean too. Might give some more storms there. So, and this is tropical depression 4 there. So let's see the Eastern Pacific. So there's now Hurricane Carlota and Tropical Storm Daniel. So this was very not expected. So in our update yesterday, this was at a 50% chance of formation, and now it's a tropical storm. So this is just came out of the blue there. And then we still have this area there at high chance of formation, 70% next 48 hours and 90%. So this is likely going to form into something in the next 2 or 3 days. So let's see, a large area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms located a few hundred miles of the southern coast of Mexico continue to produce a broad area of low pressure. Environmental conditions appear conductive, generally conductive for gradual development. Tropical depression like to form by early next week, while the system moves west-northwestward 10 to 15 miles per hour, staying well offshore of the Mexican coast. So yeah, be aware. But nothing crazy for now. Let's see. This is Tropical Storm Daniel. Is expected to go north, and then by Monday weaken into a depression and die off there. So nothing crazy from Daniel. Let's see. But there's Hurricane Carlota there, so it's still a hurricane, expected to weaken to a tropical storm by Sunday afternoon, and then die by Wednesday and Thursday as a tropical depression. So no threats to land. And let's see some wind history, the hurricane force winds, and yeah, this is mainly it for these systems. Let's see what else for the Eastern Pacific. So the European has Hurricane Carlota there, Tropical Storm Daniel, and then this other system starts forming there. Takes a little bit of time, but then forms there. So this is the European. The GFS has Hurricane Carlota there, and then let's see. So now it's August 3rd. Tropical Storm Daniel shows very weak, but has Hurricane Carlota strong. And then this next system forming, eventually turning into a cyclone, but then not lasting much. And then something later. It doesn't have anything later yet, just some crazy stuff in the Gulf. But the European was also showing some probabilities there. So let's see. And then later, as Hurricane Carlota dies there, has that other system passing just north of Hawaii there by August 14th, but nothing certain yet. And let's see where is it? The Western Pacific. So first, let's see if they have anything, but I don't think so. So they actually have invest 91W there in the Western Pacific. So it's still a low chance of formation there, but let's see, the GFS kind of forms this, so it's there in the Central Pacific near the Mariana Islands, and then it kind of forms into a tropical storm. It tries, and then it goes north and dies there, but it has more stuff trying to form later near the Mariana Islands and Japan. Then it has this really robust system forming by August 14th, going as a major typhoon towards Japan, but I still doubt this will happen because the GFS does crazy stuff. But let's see the European. It kind of tries to form that system there, but it not really makes it, and nothing else later. The Canadian model has this system trying to form there, not really making it, and another system forming later and trying to go towards Japan by August 13th. So yeah, let's see here some other things. So wait. Here, so let's just quickly see some rainfall. So let's put this into the next 39 hours. So it has more the next 39 hours. So until like today's Saturday. So until like Sunday afternoon, night, it has more rain in the Eastern Caribbean, more in the Dominican Republic. So there might be some other afternoon storms there, more storms in the Caribbean from the tropical wave, more rain Trinidad and Tobago, Colombia, Venezuela, and it has a little bit heavier in Panama and Costa Rica, some more rain there, southern Nicaragua especially, and El Salvador, Pacific part of Mexico and Guatemala, a lot in western Mexico, more in the Yucatan, still more in Cuba, the Bahamas, so be aware there. In Central America, because of those daytime thunderstorms, some can have some heavy rain. More in southern Central America, some storms might be possible in the Caribbean there. So let's see some other regions. So where is it? Global. Let's just see here. For in the next 39 hours for Asia there, the European has a lot for central India because of the storms from the monsoon, and just in the next day or so, the next 39 hours, he has a lot for southern Pakistan there. Southern Pakistan, central Pakistan, more rain too, so be aware in Pakistan there, in India, and then through western India, more rain the monsoon, and even southeastern India shows a little bit more. Myanmar, especially along the coast, shows a lot. Northern Myanmar, northeastern India shows a lot. More heavy rain in Bangladesh. So let's see, some more in Vietnam, in Cambodia, some more daytime thunderstorms in Thailand and Cambodia. More rain in northern Laos, especially northeastern Thailand and northern Laos, and northern Vietnam. More storms in China. Basically all of southern China shows a lot of storms in the next 2 days. More for northern China as the storm systems go towards northern China there. More for southern Russia shows a lot there. And even shows a lot for the Solomon Islands and Papua New Guinea there. A lot of rain in the next 39 hours. Shows more in Malaysia, more in Sumatra there. Let's see, forecast tower to 60 hours, so like 2 days and a half. Let's see, so in the next 60 hours has more for Bangladesh, especially northern Bangladesh, more heavy rain there. Northeastern India, more heavy rain. Northern Myanmar, all the areas of Myanmar. Laos, Thailand, more thunderstorms throughout the day and night. Shows more in Vietnam, Cambodia, some more heavy rain. Western India, alright, it shows more storms in central India. Some more in Pakistan and eastern Afghanistan, but especially Pakistan a lot. Be careful there with flooding. More in Nepal, southern China, and more the Philippines. It's a little bit hard to see here, but shows more for the Philippines. A little bit more in Taiwan, more near Papua New Guinea, the Northern Mariana Islands. Shows a lot there from those disturbances. Palau might have some rain, more areas. In the next 60 hours, the system goes into Florida. More the Caribbean, especially the southeastern Caribbean from the tropical wave, might have a lot of storms there. So more through Mexico, western Mexico, Guatemala, more Central America. So yeah, be careful with the rains and everything. So let's just show you those rains here. So that's the tropical wave, it keeps coming. Let's see the European, it shows the thunderstorms there crossing the Caribbean by Monday, especially more storms in the Caribbean there, and then later in other areas, Central America and other areas. So this is it. Stay safe. Thanks for watching.